Hey, how you doing today?
Hello.
My name is Freddie, and today I'll be your social worker. Today I'll be your social worker, and today I was want to let you know that I'm a mandated reporter, so anything you say is confidential unless you're trying to harm yourself or others. And so I'll start by asking, what's your name?
Lonnie.
Lonnie. Okay, that's Lonnie. So tell me, why are you here today?
The hospice that I go to told me that I should contact the social worker just regarding the things that I want to process in my future. They let me know that I only have 4 to 6 months to live, and to sit down and talk to somebody about it.
4 to 6 months to live. And can you tell me what you have going on? What's going on with you?
So a couple of months ago, I was having a really bad pain in my back. And I found out that it was actually cancer, and it was stage 4 cancer. And I've been going through treatments and doing a bunch of different treatments, some radiology, some chemo, but none of the things are working. And they told me that I can keep going through with these processes, or I can come into the hospice and stay here for the next couple of months.
Okay. Do you mind if I take notes during this session?
No, not at all.
Okay. So let's talk about your employment history.
Okay. So I'm self-employed. I design I make beads, beaded designs, and different things for kids' functions. So I still do that from home. It's like a separate coping mechanism that I have. But yeah, that's what I still do. My kids help me with it a lot. So now that I've been getting more and more sick.
Okay. And so tell me more about the bees and how it helps you cope.
Well, now that the treatments haven't been working and things like that, I started it just for fun, just to help out with my kids' school and things like that. And it started to become something that I did as a job, and then parents told me that I should keep up with it and work on it and invest my time in it. I use it when I say coping mechanism because it's like a distraction. It's one thing that I guess doesn't know my cancer, so it doesn't know that I'm sick. It's just something that I'm able to do daily or whenever I feel like it or whenever I want to.
Okay, that's good. And so tell me how that make you feel knowing that you're going through this trial cancer.
Well, like I said, I've had the cancer for a few months now, and I think that I have talked it over with God, and I think that I'm going to be fine with it. Not fine with it. I worry about my family a lot. I worry about how they're going to cope with it and how they're going to go through it, because regardless if I live more than 6 months, I still want my family to be able to be okay, and I still want them to feel safe and feel as though they can use me as an outlet. So I feel as though that's just how I feel. If the cancer went away tomorrow, I still would feel the same way. I want my family to still be protected and everything is still fine. But I know that the cancer won't go away, so it is what it is.
So have you talked to your family about how your feelings and what you're expressing so far?
Well, I think I've talked to my husband about it, and I think that he understands it. I only talked to him first because I didn't want to bring it on to the kids without him knowing first, and so I didn't want to hurt everybody's feelings. But I've talked to my husband, and it's been causing him to stay out a lot of late nights, and we haven't really slept in the same bed. He takes me to the same treatments. He takes me to the treatments, and he takes me to different things, especially when the kids aren't home. But he takes me to my treatments, and he picks me up. But I don't think that he's as supportive as I would like him to be. He struggles a lot with trying to figure out how he would be able to cope without me in the future.
Okay. And so, do you and him have any talks about this, like personal talks?
I feel like we do talk about it. I feel like I've mentioned it to him a few times, but like I said, he like kicks me out and doesn't really discuss anything with me. He just acts like I'm just not there, and I don't know, maybe I feel alone in the process. I feel lonely because, like I said, I haven't told my children because I don't want them to worry, but I think because it's becoming a deadline for my expiration date that I should speak to them about it.
Okay, well, so tell me more about your mental and physical health so I can get a better understanding.
I think my mental health is pretty well. Like I said, before the cancer, I was perfectly healthy, going to do things with my children, cheerleading practices, soccer games, participating in high school events with them. I was doing everything that a mother should have been doing, so I was physically capable of doing those things. So mentally, I think I was pretty much okay too. When I was growing up, I had a little bit of depression, but that hasn't affected me for years. I didn't really need to take medicine. It was just that I was living in a rough household.
Okay, so what was going on in your household that was so rough? Can you explain that to me?
Well, I grew up with a mother and a father, but they both slept in separate rooms. Around age 13, my mother decided that she wanted to move her boyfriend in at the time while she was still married to my dad. And I think my dad said that it was okay, but I feel as though it still broke his heart. So because I would see him sad, it made me sad, and that's where a lot of the depression came from. And I feel like I try my hardest all my life not to repeat those actions. That's why I need to make sure my relationship with my husband, although I understand why he feels the way he feels, isn't as messed up because of the simple things that's going on. Because I need my children to understand that it's okay for something to happen, but you always have to learn from it and gain from it.
So, can you tell me more about your environment and your education?
So I went to University of West Georgia to get my master's degree.
Oh, wow.
A few years back. That's mainly it. I really didn't do much. I stayed at home. I stayed at home as a stay-at-home wife. I worked on the
housewife.
Yeah, just a housewife, and I worked with the kids, and I did a lot of that for a long time. So I feel like that could be affecting my husband as well. The thought that maybe he has to pick up the slack of what he wasn't doing throughout our whole entire relationship. So it's just better to it's better to get everything out in the open with him, because he feels as though that I'm sheltered and I keep things to myself and all that kind of stuff. And I just feel like, me personally, I feel like there's nothing better for me to do but to withhold information from him, because I know exactly how he acts.
Okay. So far I'm hearing that you are having problems with your husband dealing with your cancer, correct? And I feel that there's more involved. It's like with your environment. Can you tell me more on what's going around in your environment so far?
So we just got finished paying off our house. But of course, with the bills that we've been racking up over the past few months with the cancer, it has changed the way that we've been able to live and survive in the household.
Yes.
So although we've paid off our house, we still we're putting away for the kids' college funds, and I have 3 kids, so I wanted to be able to make sure every kid could go to college. Technically debt free as much as possible. But yeah, so technically right now our environment is pretty good. It's only hectic because we can't afford to send our kids to college because of the medical bills, and that's one reason why once they told me the chemo was no longer working, that I decided, well, maybe I should just cut my losses and go to hospice.
Oh wow, that's good. So could you say there are any a lot of drugs involved around you or in your family so far?
No, I think that we're pretty much a nice suburban family. I don't know what's been happening with my kids in the past few months because of the fact that I'm asleep all the time, and they ask me what's going on, and they want to know stuff about the situation. They just don't know how to ask me, and I don't know how to tell them yet, so I keep a lot of things hush-hush and secret from them.
Really? So do you feel as if you can't tell them now because they're too young, or is it?
It's not that they're too young to me. I feel as though they're just not going to be able to process it the same way, and I think that not being able to process it says a lot about. I think about my kids, so I don't want them to be able to suffer and go through a bunch of things simply because their mom might be dying from cancer.
Okay. So are you able to cope with your cancer so far?
I think that I've dealt with it the best way that I could. I think that there's no true way to deal with cancer. I think that it's just like how cancer comes. I was perfectly fine one day. I felt like my back was hurting. I went to the hospital. Next thing you know, I have cancer. So I feel like there's no way to process it. It's not something you sit with. It's not something you can just cope with. So I think that I've been doing my best. I've been trying a lot of different things. I just got into some religious practices. So I think that I've been coping with it pretty well, and I have no negative feelings towards it. I wish cancer didn't come, of course. I wish I would be able to take care of my kids, see them get married, see them grow up. But since I can't do any of that, I've made arrangements, wrote them little letters, so they'll be able to read them when they get older.
Alright, that sounds like you have a very well thought out plan, and you know where you want to go with your life as far as with your cancer and your kids. Let's talk more about any goals, like realistic goals you have, knowing that you only have a couple more months to live, and anything that's on your mind that can help us reach, a place where you feel.
I think I need to start focusing on the fact that my husband and I need to come onto one accord, because I want to be able to speak to my kids about it. I want to be able to show them that, mommy and daddy have gone through it, we will get through it, and we will be okay. I need them to know that throughout this life that there will become hard times, and nothing's ever going to be perfect and nothing's going to be peachy, but I need them to understand that mommy and daddy are not fighting simply because, I don't know, we're just having a disagreement, that we come together and we'll be okay as a family, and we can go from there. But I think that by telling my kids eventually, I would have to I would just have to be able to put my feelings aside and my pride aside and let my kids know exactly what's been happening. Like I said, I haven't told them anything about it, but I think my oldest is starting to wonder exactly what is going on, why I'm not there sometimes, why I'm asleep most of the times, why I haven't cleaned up, and I've been making them do a lot of the chores. I just think that by doing all of that kind of stuff, I've been preparing them to be better equipped for their future. And it's just hard for me to think maybe I won't be able to be there for my kids, but it makes me happier to think maybe I've set my kids up so well that they'll be able to do well in the future and be able to take care of themselves.
Yes, and so you see yourself as setting them up for the future, but have you ever came across the point that they want to know the truth now? Do you think that you're scared to tell them the truth because of how they're emotionally feel?
I think maybe my kids do deserve the truth. I think that by moving into this hospice facility, it will require nurses and things to come out to the house, and people to come up and check on me, and I'll become worse and worse as the months go by. Like I said, I have 4 to 6 months, so that's not really a lot of time before I could possibly die from cancer. So I think that it just would make more sense if I tell my kids the truth, and they would feel better knowing that, okay, well, at least mom told us and didn't just die and left us to think. And I think that by assuming maybe that my kids would just not like to know. They don't care. I think that I put a lot of pressure on them, and I haven't gotten a chance to, let them know that, I do care about them, I do love them, but this is what I'm going through, and this is just the truth of the whole entire thing,
Yeah. So tell me some specific emotions that you feel about your situation and how you feel that you can overcome this.
I think that, I don't know. At first, I felt scared and I felt alone because, like I said, my husband's not around. And I felt scared because, you hear cancer and you always assume, oh, well, maybe there's a walk for this, or maybe they'll be able to get cured, or maybe we'll be okay. But there's just nothing that we'll be able to do in this situation. And I feel as though, like, I've heard a lot of things about cancer, and I've heard a lot of bad things, but I've been to some support groups where they tell us about, their struggles and how they've overcome. But sometimes I feel hurt because even though we've been through support, I've been through 2 support groups, I still feel as though I have a lot more, I don't want to say issues, but I have differences from them because I have stage 4 cancer, which is going to kill me regardless of what the treatment is, and I can no longer do chemo. So I don't like to hear conversations about the chemo and how it's been working and their progress sometimes, because it's like I didn't get the same results. The same thing didn't happen to me. I'm not going to be, it's not going to happen for me.
Okay. And so do you feel that your actions towards the group sessions, do you talk to them?
I do. I engage a whole lot at the group sessions. Recently I haven't been going simply because of the fact that they told me my end date, they told me when I'm going to have to, give up a lot of my things that I do. And I haven't been going because I feel like nobody can relate to me like I can relate to myself right now. So I'm dealing with a bunch of other things. I can't worry about how people feel at a group when I can't even talk to my family and talk to anybody about it. And my husband won't even have a conversation about it. He just acts like it's non-existent, that he doesn't care. So
So I hear you talking. I hear you talking more about your husband. Let's figure out a way that we can get him to fully understand your emotions and how you feel about the situation of cancer. Do you feel that he's avoiding you because he doesn't want to know that he's losing his wife, or does his work give him more time to be away from you? I don't know how you feel.
I would say that I think that he's avoiding me because he just he doesn't know how to cope with it. Like I said, I think that he thinks, oh, well, you're going to die, so what am I left to do with 3 kids? And what am I going to do with, like all the lack of support that I'm getting, and like all of the problems that we're going to have, but you won't be there for that. And I feel like if I speak to him and tell him, like, maybe, just maybe, everything will be fine, we'll work things out, we'll be okay, maybe he'll just, I don't know, figure out in his heart, okay, well, maybe she's right, we will be okay, or like something. Because I feel like the next 4 to 6 months, I don't want to live in constant regret or fear, or in a household where everybody's so scared. I want it to seem like, well, you had cancer and you lived a good life and you did what you were supposed to do for your kids and me, and now you can go out and be happy. So I think he just avoids the house because it's just a place that seems like it's just a bunch of dying happening, and it's just a bunch of, moments where he just feels like he has no control. And I think that since he doesn't have control of the situation, he's like, well, I give up and I don't want to be a part of it. And I'm just going to leave her alone and be where she wants to be.
So realistically, do you have any goals that you want to work through as you go through your final stages of cancer with your husband, with your children, with your family? Is there anything you want to say to them?
I think that, let's That's an interesting question. I think that my goals for, like, realistically, I want to be able to speak to my children about it, and I want them to be able to open up and talk about how they feel. But I know that 3 children is a lot, and I feel like they all have different personalities, especially the oldest one, and I don't think that she'll be able to take it as lightly as the others. But she's the oldest, and I need her to be able to step up and take care of her younger sisters. You know what I mean? And I think that if I have their father connected with the whole situation, then we'll be fine. Everything will work out, especially if their father plays a part as well. If their father is not in it, I think that neither will my children be. So I feel like realistically, I would have to make sure that the relationship with my husband is the strongest, because he has to pick up the slack and he has to make sure everyone will be better.
And so can you further explain the relationships other than just your husband and children? What about, let's say, your mom, your friends that you could be around and help out?
Well, I really haven't spoken to my mom in a few years. She wound up remarrying the guy that was her boyfriend at the time, living with us, and my dad passed away from a stroke a few years later. And so growing up, I just had my mom and then her boyfriend at the time. So I haven't really spoken to her because I feel as though she was an unhealthy. She let me live in an unhealthy environment growing up, and as a single child, I didn't have any other siblings to turn to, nobody else. So I had to just basically be by myself.
Okay. And so, do you feel that now knowing your current situation that you can't talk to your mother and she will come to understanding?
I don't feel the need to talk to her. I don't think it'll be as important. I think that she'll care, but like I said, I haven't talked to her in a few years. I don't even think she knows her grandchildren. She came to the wedding, but she didn't stay the whole entire time. And yeah, I had a friend walk me down the aisle. So it's just, to me, I don't feel like she would care, but she'll probably care because she thinks that, oh, you're my daughter, I will care. But where has she been my whole entire life? I don't know.
Yes.
I have a child that's like 16, and it's just like, you haven't been there the whole entire time. You don't even know your grandchildren. They don't even know their grandmother.
Wow. And so, do you fear that them not knowing their grandmother and you not being around, that your children are more subjected to not being able to have a better life on their mom's behind?
I don't think that my mother will play a part in my children's life even after I'm gone, simply because she wasn't there the whole entire time now. And her not being there now says more to me than it will after I leave. Just like if my husband's not taking care of the household now, you just miraculously do it after I leave. To me, it's, oh, well, maybe you weren't capable of doing it. Now I have to worry, you know what I mean? And I don't want to worry when it's time for me to go and move on. I just want to be able to accept what's coming and provide for my family efficiently.
So, when you say worry, tell me more about your worries. What do you worry about?
I worry that my children will always think, well, I didn't have the relationship like my mother had. I didn't get a relationship like that. I didn't have a relationship with my mom. Like, I don't know her. I guess I worry that maybe they might assume that I don't know, that I gave up on them and didn't try and fight. And especially because I've waited so long to tell them the truth, that maybe they'll feel like, oh, she's hiding something from me, or oh, she's just keeping something from me because we're just not getting along. I feel as though like you just, I don't know, you just can't, you can't be everything for your kids. And it's like, that's something people don't tell you when you're first getting having kids. People tell you about the oohs and ahs, but they don't tell you that you can't save your kids. You're not going to be the one to protect them. You're not going to be there when they need you the most. And I think that part, to me, is like the absolute worst. Like, I would rather know that my kids will be safe and they'll be protected than to, pass away and not know any of that. So that's part of one of my worries. I think that another thing that I worry about is my children growing up. I think that they won't be able to adjust to the outside world. I think that they'll always think, oh well, my mother gave up on me, or my father gave up on me, and this is where I was. Or my oldest, thinking, oh, I took care of all the kids and I did everything and I had to sacrifice. Like I said, I cut it into a lot of their college fund.
Okay.
So it's almost non-existent, and they'll have to take out, loans and stuff like that. But I believe that there's a scholarship for students whose parents have passed away.
Yes.
And I think that they'll be able to get that help. But although I just want them to know that I love them and that I worry about how their future is going to go.
Okay. And so I hear you talking more about your children, how you worry about them, how much love you have for them. But I want to know about your feelings on the situation. How do you feel knowing that you only have a few months, knowing that you don't know exactly what's going to go on in your children's life, like where they're going to take, how they're going to take this? I want to know your feelings about this.
I feel lonely. I feel upset. I feel defeated. I feel as though I could have done better as a parent through a lot of situations. I feel like I could have shown up for them more and maybe been a better wife for my, husband. But I think that all these feelings come when you know about death and when you think about death and when you sit and ponder on it like I've had to, There's been chemo after chemo after chemo. It has made me tired. I have lost hair. I have been through a lot of things with this chemo, with this cancer that I didn't expect to be through when I was younger. I didn't see myself as having chemo or having cancer, going to chemo, doing different radiologies. Like I didn't see myself meeting different doctors and doing all that kind of stuff. I just seen myself growing up, getting old, living with my kids, and I think that I feel like maybe I'm missing out on a lot of things in life because, it's just hard. You miss out on so many things unintentionally. And it's just, what can I do? I can't do anything about the cancer. It's uncurable. I just have to, try my best and do what I can. And that's what I've been doing, so.
Okay. I feel that you're blocking yourself. You're not letting yourself be more open to your kids, and you should more be reliable and tell them how you feel and sit down and talk to them and explain to your husband and let him understand that this is real. This is a real life situation. He can't run from this. He can't try to work it out, and tell them what you want for your kids. Tell them what you want from them. You may not be able to be there physically.
I feel like if I look at where if I were putting myself in my husband's position, I think that maybe I sprung it on him too early. Maybe I should have sat down and waited. It's like it literally happened. I went to the emergency room. I was having an issue. Next thing you know, seeing doctors, cancer, got thrown around, did a biopsy, found out I really had cancer. And then I definitely told my husband. But I told him in a way of like, okay, well, we can fight this and we can do this and we all those different things. And then when I told him okay, well, we are going to, we're going to stop because we're not going to keep doing chemo and we're not going to keep putting myself through this and putting me in radiology constantly. We're going to stop this. We're going to move on and we're going to be exactly who we wanted to be. He didn't like that idea. He thought, well, you're giving up and you're not fighting and you could be doing more. And who said I wanted to lose my wife? How did you get to decide? How did you get to decide for the rest of my life? And I mean, I understood where he was coming from with it. I understood completely on how he felt. But I also think this was my life too. At the end of the day, I didn't get a chance to choose that I wanted cancer. That wasn't on the menu. So I thought maybe by stopping chemo, I got to take some of my power back. Cancer just, took a lot out of me. It took my entire life from me. And I think if I see it from his point of view, that maybe my wife didn't try as hard, or maybe she didn't fight. But it's like we don't even have a conversation on how much I did fight, how much I did show up. I did come through every time. I did fight. I did try, but chemo stopped working for me. So they said, try this other pill, but you might suffer night terrors, and you know what I mean.
Wow.
And there's things that you might harm yourself more if you try this treatment. And I didn't want to. I wanted to try to spend the rest of my life with my children.
Yes.
I wanted to, do some things off the bucket list. But now that they're telling me I only have 4 to 6 months, it's like, it's a time crunch to really do the things that's on my bucket list. But there's also the need to, accomplish more things in life, because I feel like we weren't fulfilled enough, and that we could do more in this life. Like we could be more. And that's one thing that cancer has taught me that I don't think my husband has been able to see. But like I said, I really do have to tell my children, because maybe they'll understand, maybe they'll accept the fact that, mom's not going to be there, she's not going to make it, but she'll try her hardest. So maybe that is one of the goals of mine, is to figure out a space where I can talk to my husband and talk to my children, and give them a moment to cope with it and understand it. And I don't think they're going to fully understand it. I don't think I fully understand it, but I think that as long as we work through it, as long as we try, as long as we press on, we will be fine.
Okay, so tell me about your resources and how you feel knowing about cancer, knowing that you might possibly lose your life in the next couple of months. How your steps, and let's say steps you're going to take for the funeral or for other things like that with your kids. Can you elaborate on that?
So like I said, I've been in the group. I've been going to see a group every Tuesday night regarding cancer, and I checked out different resources. Like I said, I found out different drugs, and there's different treatments going on in Canada, and there's things that you can do in Russia and Korea. But I feel like those resources they can't do anything for me, because at this point I've been able to cope with it. I've talked to multiple doctors. I've sent my scans to multiple places. I've tried a bunch of different outlets, and I feel like it always resorts back to the fact that I need to do better. And the only way that I can do better in life and do what I can for this world is by telling my family and making the last couple of months, if it's just a couple of months, you never know, it could be pushed back to a year, or a few days. I just need to make whatever time I have left on this earth to be the best that I can be for my children, for my husband, and for everyone to see that even though you struggle with cancer, even though it may take your life, not everyone's, but it may take your life, that you could live the best life possible.
And to live the best life possible, can you elaborate on about how you feel that you can live through your kids?
I think, like, growing up, I did a lot of things to resent, but I resented my mother. I resented for her putting me in that position. And especially a few years after my dad had passed away from a stroke, I blamed her. I blamed her for the reason that the stroke occurred, because he loved her so much that she just, broke his heart, literally. And I think that it's a lot that can be said about the situation, but it's more that I know that my children will be able to wake up one day and say, well, my mom is the reason I did this. My mom's the reason I got my diploma. My mom's the reason I chased after my dreams. My mom's the reason why I'm here. And I feel like I especially should examine how that makes, like, it makes me feel better if I know that my children will be able to be like function in the future and know who they are. And it's one of the things that's really important to me. And even if my husband gets remarried, or he wants to be in another relationship and find somebody else, even if he wants to do all of that, I feel like I would let him. I feel like it's the most important thing to do. It's the most important place to be. Is cancer sucks, but it doesn't suck for you. You know what I mean? It sucks for all of us that are involved in it. And I want you to be able to, turn a new leaf and be a better person, although your wife had cancer.
Yes. Okay. And so, during this cancer process, I hear that you feel scared, you feel defeated. But is there any way that you can make yourself understand or make others understand the current situation so that you won't have to feel defeated or scared? Is there any way you feel?
Like I said, I think a goal of mine is to, sit down and be able to, talk about it with my family in an open space. I feel like if we have somebody that can not narrate, but come together and get everybody so they can make sure everybody gets their thoughts out. Yes. Because I feel like we do it in the privacy of our own home. You risk people running away. You risk people not wanting to stay. You risk all those things.
That is true.
And having somebody sit down and say, well, this is what we're going to go through and this is how we're going to go through it and that's just it. I think that we'd be better off. Everything would be better that way.
And where would you want to sit down and have this kind of talk? In your home? In a lawyer's office, somewhere? You haven't thought about where you want to talk to your kids?
I have. I want to be able to write my will soon. Simply because, like I said, it could be days, it could be months, it could be years. But if I have days, I want to be able to write my will and get out my feelings for them. So I need this to be before it's time to write my will. Not that I'm withholding anything from my will because my kids are not talking to me or they don't want to be in it, but I want them to know what's written in my will so they don't have to argue, they don't have to fight, that it's like, we understand, we completely agree, like, thank you, Mom, for trying.
Yes. And so I hear in your will, what do you specifically want to tell your kids? I don't want for your kids.
I want them to know that, I want them to have the best life that they can possibly have. And of course, we've dabbled and dabbled a lot into their college fund. So I think mainly I want them to know that we tried. I tried to provide for them. I tried to give them the best life. But I need them to also know that life literally comes with no guide. That you go and you do what you can with who you can and how you can do it. And it's literally that simple. So I don't know. I feel like if I could leave my kids with anything, it's just the thought, like, Mom did try and she did do her best. And, I tried to be everything I could be for them.
Yes, everything you could be. And I understand that right now, your husband been working more overtime, not being around the house, and you sleeping. That's affecting your kids because they never had to do chores as much and they never had the responsibility. Are you looking at things through their point of view that you thought of how they're feeling as being so young and having to, do certain things they never had to do before? How's it affecting them plus school?
That's a real reason why I haven't told them about it, because it's going to affect their schoolwork, it's going to affect their social life, it's going to affect everything. It's just going to blow the whole household up. But I think that it's important to not just go and them wonder. I'd rather them know instead of them wondering the whole entire time.
And so with them knowing and that type of information, where would you want to talk to all of them about? Like, where is a place that
maybe you should tell me where a place is.
I feel we can go to a lawyer's office. I feel we can go to a clinic, let them know so they can understand, get a better understanding of what goes on cancer. To the meetings you go through. I think that's a very great place to go. Because I see you talking to them and them understanding what cancer is, not only what it is and how it's affecting you. So they'll get a better understanding of what you're going through and your feelings, understand how you feel. So I feel that if you do tell your kids, possibly soon and write your will, you should get a better understanding, let them understand, educate them. They're so young and the oldest, you will have a better understanding of what you wanted. So when you do write your will, they have a better understanding of you as a person. And not just being a mother, they'll understand that you wanted the best for them. And it wasn't just you didn't defeat cancer. You didn't let it defeat you. You did what you had to do as a person to grow, and you strengthen them through death. That they won't feel that their life is just gonna go on, move on. You don't have to worry about any type of talking to anyone, being away from people. So I feel you should be more specific and ask yourself, what do you want them to know? You know, I feel knowing it's a big part of cancer, you know, and how it's affected others. And your husband, he has other knowledge, and we need to discuss that more. And if you would have the time, like, for you to break him in, if that's okay with you, I think that's a good solution for us all to talk together, because him and his denial issue is stopping this process from us getting to you, what you want, and how you feel about the actions that you need to take with your kids, with your life. And I want you to expand more about your life and how you see yourself after this. You know, how you see your kids. Tell them more about where you want them to go, college funds. Tell them what you want them to do. Tell them how you always love them. You know, and tell your husband how you feel about the marriage after what happens when you die, how he's being with someone else, and just how you want your kids to be. You know.
Right.
And
sounds like a plan.
Yes, I want you to express your feelings. I know cancer makes you very tired, and it's hard to talk to others because you're crying and you're sad. And it's hard to move on, you know, knowing that people are going to move on without you and not knowing. See, I know the worst part of cancer is not knowing. You know, it can happen tomorrow, anytime, and any moment. I feel that what you need to do is just have a better understanding of what in your life you want people to know. You know, not just what's going on, but what you want people to know about global, you know, at the end of the day. And I feel that this was a great session we had. Very great.
It was.
Very great. I like how you was able to talk to me and you let your feelings come out, revolving your children, revolving your husband, revolving the cancer process, your mother, and how she was able to just change your life, you know, for worse, better. And I feel that you have grown as a person. But I would like to know, what are your final thoughts on this session?
I think this was a good session. It was nice to be able to talk to somebody about what I'm going through and, you know, get everything out because it's been pretty bottled up.
Yes. Okay. And so, having everything out, laying on the table towards me, I feel that you want more than just to feel defeated. We're going to do more than that. We're not going to let cancer defeat you. We're going to be it. And I want to have the resources. Is there anything else going on through your life, financially, emotionally, physically, that you feel that you need help with, that I can lend my resources to help you? You know? Is there anything I can help you with? That's what I want to know.
Well, I mean, it probably would come up in other sessions, but right now I can't think of anything.
Well, I just want to say this was a very great, informative session, and I want you to know that anything you need help with or go weeks, yeah, we come back in 2 weeks. I want to be able to schedule this in 2 weeks, and any questions, anything you need help with, just let me know.
Thank you.
Have a nice, productive weekend.
Thank you.
Bang.